The story begins at the Ortigia Royal Academy of Magic. We meet a boy named Alto Goldfield. He is told that he failed his summoning exam and that, if he cannot form a contract with a familiar by the next day, he will be held back a grade and forced to repeat the year. Alto meets with his childhood friend Lilia Cudelfet. She is shocked to find out that Alto may be held back a year despite him having perfect scores in every other class. Alto tells her he still has until the next day and will give it one last try. He heads to the library for help. A book falls off the shelf and lands on his head. To his surprise, it is an old summoning book. He takes the book home and follows the ritual written in the book. The summoning spell activates and Alto offers his blood. The summoning is successful and a naked demon girl named Vermeil is summoned. They form a contract and Vermeil kisses him to drain his mana. She attempts to seduce him, but he refuses and makes her put on some clothes. After that, Alto is confused why a demon would choose to serve him as a familiar, because the demons they have learned about in history have always destroyed humans. She tells him that she was sealed away in the book and will serve him out of gratitude for setting her free. The next day, Alto presents Vermeil to his teacher as his summon. She conceals her horns and tail to pass as a human. At first, he doesn't believe Vermeil is his familiar because there are no records of humans being familiars. But Vermeil shows him her familiar crest and he is forced to accept her and pass Alto. Lilia gets jealous of Vermeil as she watches them from a distance. During class, Vermeil sits on Alto's lap showing him affection. The teacher tells him that such behavior is not appropriate, which Lilia is glad to hear. But Vermeil points out that many students have their familiars sitting with them and quotes the school's doctrine of living life alongside your familiar. The teacher is left speechless and Lilia has trouble accepting this. After class, Lilia confronts Alto. She doesn't like Vermeil and challenges them to a duel. If she wins, Vermeil will stay away from Alto, but if Alto wins, she will obey one command from him. They head up to a platform in the sky and their duel is broadcast to all the other students. Lilia summons her familiar, Sylphid, a high-class wind spirit, surprising Vermeil. Lilia combines her wind magic together with her familiar and unleashes a powerful attack at Alto. Vermeil steps in front of Alto and takes the attack head-on. When the dust clears, Vermeil is completely unarmed. Vermeil retaliates and uses magic which makes Lilia become so aroused that she forfeits. Since Alto won, he commands Lilia to be friends with Vermeil. Later, Vermeil tells Alto that Lilia is in love with him, but he doesn't believe her. She kisses him to replenish her mana and says she needs to or else she will disappear. She tries to seduce him once again saying that there are more effective ways to replenish her mana, but he stops her and says kissing will suffice. The next day, everyone seems to be looking at them as they walk to school. Alto tells Vermeil to keep a low profile so they don't stand out. Suddenly, a dragon rampages down the path, but Vermeil stops it with a single flick, sending it flying into the horizon. Alto notices that everyone is staring at Vermeil and scolds her for drawing attention to herself. The headmaster welcomes the students to their second year and Alto attends his various classes. Lilia is still jealous of how Vermeil clings to Alto. After school, Lilia invites herself to walk home with Alto and Vermeil so she can keep an eye on them. They are confronted by two students, the owner of the dragon that Vermeil defeated and his big brother Rex. They are here to get even with Vermeil, but while they are distracted, Alto sneaks behind them and traps them in a prison of crystals. Rex summons his familiar and breaks free. Rex is a fifth-year student and summons a dinosaur. Rex sends his familiar to attack, but Vermeil supercharges Alto's mana, allowing him to unleash a far stronger crystal magic attack and defeat Rex. When they return home, Vermeil asks what Alto wants in life. She offers to make him rich, but he tells her that he wants to be a great mage. He explains that in this world, there are 4 ranks of mages: apprentice, bronze, silver, and gold, but he aims to go further beyond to become a platinum-ranked mage. Vermeil approves of his dream and promises to help him achieve it. The next day, they and Lilia meet their friends Marx and Cheryl. Marx is from a noble family and is impressed that Alto defeated a 5th-year student, considering him his rival. Their teacher appears and tells them the headmaster has called to see them. The headmaster tells them that one of them will be the student representative. To decide who it will be, he gives them a special trial. Whoever can retrieve a fairy flower from the forest will be the class representative. Mark summons his familiar, a beetle named Francios, and rushes off. Marx is attacked by a man-eating plant and Cheryl stays behind to help him. The others continue to look for the flower and see it on top of a mountain. However, the entrance is guarded by a sleeping Cerberus. Lilia has an invisibility potion and plans to use it to sneak past the Cerberus. Alto is worried that the Cerberus would still be able to smell her, but Lilia points out that it has a cold so she should be able to get by. She takes the potion and becomes invisible. However, her clothes are not affected. Lilia panics about stripping in front of Alto, but she has no other choice. As Lilia approaches the Cerberus, Alto is reminded that it's a competition. Vermeil tells him she can easily defeat the Cerberus, but approaches Alto for more mana. Lilia tries to sneak past the Cerberus, but not all of the heads are sick and she is detected. Alto distracts the Cerberus, telling Lilia to get the flower. As the Cerberus charges at Alto, Vermeil appears from above and unleashes her demonic powers. There is a great explosion and Lilia is able to grab the flower. She brings the flower back down to the others. She admits defeat and offers to give it to Alto, but her invisibility wears off and she becomes embarrassed and drops the flower. It gets blown away and ends up in Cheryl's hands. She wins the position and the others congratulate her. On their way to school, Vermeil enjoys eating a grape for the first time. Having been sealed away for hundreds of years, she never had the chance to experience modern food. The students look up at the sky as a formation of dragons fly over. All the students admire the leader of the Dragon Riders, Chris. Vermeil asks Alto who they are and he explains that they are the Dragon Riders, the same club that Rex belongs to. At school they meet up with Max, Cheryl, and Lilia. Max explains just how incredible Chris is. Aside from being the leader of the Dragon Riders, she is an executive on the student council and is one of the school's 7 gold-ranked students. Alto is amazed she is already gold-ranked as a student. He wishes he could be like the student council president who is said to be close to platinum rank. Vermeil tells him it's possible while suffocating him. Lilia quickly pushes her away and the two argue over Alto as usual. After class, Lilia vents her frustrations about Vermeil to Cheryl in the change room. She wonders if Vermeil is even human, remembering how she defeated the Cerberus with a single hit. Something even a gold-ranked mage wouldn't be able to do. Lilia is suspicious of Vermeil and swears to expose her. Cheryl picks up that Lilia must really like Alto, but this causes her to panic and be flustered. Cheryl encourages her to confess her feelings to Alto. Meanwhile, in the boys' changing room, Vermeil makes a scene, following Alto, and as all the boys are changing. Alto is embarrassed and Lilia is jealous Vermeil got to peek at Alto changing. Alto tells them they need to keep a low profile so they don't get in trouble with the student council. Vermeil tells him she will just beat them all and Alto will be gold-ranked in no time. As they walk, the student council appears before them. The trio quickly gets out of the way. As they pass by, Chris glares at Vermeil, wondering who she is. Later, Vermeil sneaks into Alto's shower and attempts to seduce him once again. Rex gets beat up by Chris when she finds out he lost to Alto. She is embarrassed for him to be part of the Dragon Riders as his familiar is just a dinosaur and not a dragon. She continues to beat him and expels him from the Dragon Riders. Alto hears Rex was sent to the infirmary and visits him. Rex's brother blames Alto for being the reason Rex was expelled from the Dragon Riders. Alto realizes what happened. Soon after, Alto heads up to the dueling platform with Vermeil. At the top, they are faced with Chris. Chris gives Alto a chance to back out of the duel, but they are determined to fight. Chris summons her familiar, as her dragon appears. Alto calls out to Vermeil and she supercharges his mana. As Lilia looks on in horror, Alto launches his crystal attack impressing Chris, but she is able to stop it with a single blast of her magic. She fires again and Vermeil is forced to block the attack. As the flames clear, Vermeil is okay but has taken some damage. Chris continues with a rapid-fire barrage of fireballs. Vermeil blocks all the blasts and drops to the ground. Alto tries to counterattack with his crystals, but Chris shatters them all. Chris is impressed by Alto's skill, but more impressed with how Vermeil can take her attacks head-on. Vermeil gives Alto even more of her power, allowing him to launch a huge barrage of crystals at Chris. The attack lands, and there is a huge explosion. Alto is relieved it's over, but Chris rises, riding on her dragon. She boasts that dragons are the ultimate beings, and all others are inferior. She rains fireballs down from above at them, while Vermeil continues to shield Alto and tells him to build up his mana. Determined to prove her wrong, Vermeil supercharges Alto again, and he launches a huge crystal attack. Chris shatters it, but loses sight of Alto. Using the shards of crystal, Vermeil leaps up to Chris. Before Chris can react, Alto holds a crystal to her throat and wins the duel. All the students cheer for Alto and he becomes popular with the ladies, causing Lilia to become even more jealous. One of the teachers, Professor Obsidian, appears and lectures Alto not to take duels so lightly. He congratulates Alto on his win and leaves as all the ladies follow him. Alto asks Lilia if she is also into him, but she is insulted by the suggestion. Chris meets with Rex and he is surprised she is doing her own chores. She apologizes to him, but he is shocked to hear such words from her. Rex takes over the chores and the two make up. Later that night, Vermeil tries to seduce Alto again, but he says one should only kiss someone they love, so she says that she loves him, which shocks Alto. The next day, Alto worries while Vermeil appears refreshed. Alto remembers Vermeil telling him she loves him and turns completely red. He goes to see Professor Obsidian and asks if demons can fall in love with a human. Obsidian tells him that demons only want humans for their mana. During dinner, Alto confronts Vermeil, asking if she only loves him for his mana. Vermeil comforts him. She proves herself and kisses him without draining his mana. Vermeil tells him he should try to kiss her, but he can't bring himself to do it. The next day, Alto is happy having resolved his feelings toward Vermeil. He apologizes to Professor Obsidian for his strange question about demons. But the professor is just happy to see that Alto is feeling better. Later, Obsidian meets with a female student in private. She tells him that she loves him and he embraces her. However, he holds a suspicious-looking syringe. The girl is later discovered frozen in her room. The rumor of this incident spreads. The girl was rescued but left in a coma. The student council investigates the attack. The vice president Ryuga Shinuji and executive Jessica Schwartz discuss the incident, revealing this to be the third incident of a student being put into a coma. Meanwhile, Alto measures Vermeil because in class, they were tasked with writing a report about their familiars. Vermeil gets undressed for Alto to measure her, while Lilia's familiar spies on them. Lilia is outside his room with Cheryl, and her familiar reports what it saw, and Lilia is outraged. Lilia has another invisibility potion and a copy of Alto's key. She leaves her clothes with Cheryl and sneaks into the boys' dorm. She unlocks Alto's door and sneaks into his room. Alto walks right up to her, causing her to panic, but he just grabs a book. In his search for the right book, Alto touches Lilia without noticing, leaving her stunned. Alto completes his report, listing the things that Vermeil likes, such as grapes, but Vermeil adds to the list, writing down Alto's name. Meanwhile, Chris and her dragon are defeated by a seemingly possessed Rex and his mutated dinosaur. But that's the end of this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss part 2 when it's ready. Thanks for watching and I will see you next time.